hate myself.
About 2 years ago, this was me every time I looked in the mirror. I would always point out my flaws, judge my body constantly, wishing I had a flatter stomach, wondering why my breasts were so big compared to my classmates, worrying about my second chin and if it was showing. Was I muscular enough? Did I look good? Was I enough for the beauty standards? What didn't help was to see all these models and influencers on TikTok and YouTube having these six packs, muscles bigger than my head, and such nice defined jawlines. I would compare myself constantly, every day, to these people. And even now, I still am constantly comparing myself to everyone and wondering, do I even look good? This isn't an uncommon question among teens either. Based on an article from 2020 by CNN, about 32% of girls and 14% of boys are unhappy with their bodies. This number has only increased. Based on a study conducted by Dr. Jake Lenardon, about 25% of American boys and age 13 to 17 and 15% of girls aged 13 to 17 have dissatisfaction with their bodies. But why is this? Is it just a mental disorder? Is it pressure from peers and family? Or maybe it's what's in front of their face 24/7. Based on a survey from 2023 by The Guardian, about 97% of teenagers are now on social media. It also said that about 70% of them say that social media either makes them stressed, anxious, and depressed. Social media is filled to the brim with amazing looking models and influencers with bodies that some kids can only dream of having. This is also where beauty standards are predominantly seen with different trends, styles, and opinions on what looks good and what doesn't. Teens are constantly on their phones comparing themselves to these influencers, of which some are even doing things like steroids and plastic surgery to get a body or face that's not even achievable naturally. Some teens are able to see past these things and not compare themselves to these influencers, but a majority can't and end up thinking that they can achieve these things either through extreme dieting or extreme training, or that they need these things to quote unquote be beautiful. It also doesn't help that many of these influencers keep things secret and even try to sell products that they say help when in reality they don't. A notable example is Liver King. Liver King is a social media and fitness influencer who in late 2022 was exposed for using many anabolic steroids. This might not be so bad since many bodybuilders take these, but before he was exposed, he said that he was all natural and claimed that if you follow his diet and take his supplements, you would look exactly like him. And this is what causes teenagers to think that these influencers are the pinnacle of beauty and they did it all naturally, when in reality, that's not the case. The effects that this can have on a teenager can range from mental to physical health problems, like eating disorders, either eating too much or too little, anxiety, depression, self esteem issues, and one of the most common, body dysmorphia. During my time researching, I decided to go on my own experiment and sent out a Google form to all students in my school from grades 8 to 12. The form was simple with two basic questions. One, do you like your body? And if no, why? I got a total of 77 responses, and 33 responded no, they didn't, and 32 responded with yes, and the rest with yes and no responses. For the second question of why they didn't like their bodies, 17 said it was because of unrealistic beauty standards, 6 said it was because of social media, and 5 said it was because of peers and or family, and the rest were some from for other reasons, with some saying it was a mix of all three. This data was hard to look at, and it was sad to see that over half of those that responded said that they didn't like their bodies. And what made it worse was to see many of them agree that it was because of the unrealistic body standards portrayed through social media. It's unfair or unjust how influencers and companies can do whatever they want to push these unrealistic beauty standards onto teens and try to mold their minds into thinking that they're not good enough. So then they try all these things they think will help when in reality it won't, and it only damages their health. Us as teenagers are still children and shouldn't have to worry about our weight or our looks, and they shouldn't be what defines us, and definitely should not harm our mental and physical well being. We are kids, and we need to be able to look in the mirror and say,
Damn, I look good.